South Africa and anywhere else in the world that this will be streaming via Facebook. Welcome to the European Film Festival, the virtual festival taking place from the 12th of November until the 22nd. Film screenings of up to 12 films available in South Africa. Today, we're having a discussion with filmmakers from two of the films, as well as a literary writer on the topic of adaptation, and in this case, adaptation from books to film. Our guest today, um, we'll start with the only writer in our midst, which is Griet op die Beeck, whose work as a dramaturgy and newspaper columnist before releasing her first novel entitled Many Heavens Beyond the Seventh in 2013. She's also been very prominent on the Dutch language bestseller list ever since. She's got 5 books released thus far, and she sold film rights already to all of these. So her film Many Heavens was directed by Jan Matthijs in 2017, and our guests Niels and Sabine have adapted Kom hier dat ek Oekoes into the film Becoming Mona. The English title for that film is Mona, a novel in 3 acts. And Warner Brothers in Belgium have recently bought rights to her other film, short story collection G, and she's known for her personal narratives and her writing style, which is without cynicism or irony. And we're really looking forward to have the conversation about both her writing, literary work, but also her works in the form of films. We also have Sabine, Lubbe, Bakker, and Niels van Koevorden, who are both Dutch filmmakers and have co-directed the film, the film adaptation of Mona in 3 acts. They're from Belgium as well, and Sabine's career her first feature-length documentary was the award-winning film Shouts, which she co-directed with Esther Gold in 2010. This was shot in Syria and the Golan Heights. She's also directed several TV documentaries and the short film Good Mensch in 2018, as well as an episode of the Icarus series. Niels's graduation film was Mir, 6 Months Off in 2010, which won him the VPRO Documentary Award, and his short film By Her Side won Best Short Documentary at the Full Frame Film Festival in the States. Niels's documentary Till Death Do Us Part premiered at the 2020 Netherlands Film Festival, and he's also worked on several documentaries, series, and drama as a cinematographer, and he was awarded the Best Cinematography Award at Tribeca for Tanzania Transit in 2018. So this is they've worked together on a feature documentary called, this is Sabina and Niels, called Neme Kite Pas, which won the Golden Calf at the Netherlands Film Festival. And this is their first feature film collaboration, and it's already won a press prize at the Circle of Dutch Film Journalists this year. And finally, we have with us Stefan Ruzowitzky, who is joining us from Vienna, and he started his filmic career developing reports and shows for television, and he's done multiple music videos and commercials in that capacity. He's done 11 feature films as well since the 90s, splitting his work between the box office hits called Anatomy, Lily and the Witch on one hand, as well as art house films like The Inheritors, The Counterfeiters, and others. He, of course, won an Academy Award for The Counterfeiters in 2008, and this is a film that was based on a memoir written by Adolf Berger. And again, the film we're discussing now is an adaptation of Narcissus and Goldmund, which is a book that was written by legendary German writer Hermann Hesse. And so, yeah, what an honor to be speaking to all of you, and welcome to the South African audience. And we're really happy to introduce you to cinema lovers from South Africa.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. I'm going to start with Griet in the fervent hope that your mic is working where you are, Griet. Firstly, we are having this talk about adaptation. But we just had a very brief conversation before this seminar this webinar started, and it made me realize something about your work. Is that I've read your work in literary form in English, but actually you wrote your book in Dutch, right? So even there in the translation, there's a transformation of your work that takes place. And as someone who's experienced your work starting in one form and then changing and evolving as more people come on board to collaborate with you, I was just wondering, what's it like to see your work take these different shapes besides just take the shape of a film?
Yeah, it's incredible. When I was a little girl, I dreamt of being a writer, and I had to become 37 to finally have the courage to actually try and do so and get published and notice that people actually wanted to read my books. But to be an inspiration to other artists, that's really the ultimate compliment, I think. Nothing can make you more joyous than to see how people at the same time catch the absolute essence of your story and at the same time make it their own, because that's what's most interesting. I prefer to see something different from what I've written. That's the interesting part. And I think Sabine and Niels did a beautiful job in putting their body, minds, and souls into it and turning it into a beautiful film that even people who hated the book will love, I'm sure.
And I'm interested in the same question the other way around, maybe slightly different. We'll start with Stefan, because this is not your first film that you've adapted from a literary work. What's the thing that happens when you read a book or a comic book or any other, like a story in another form, that you think, this is what I could turn into a film, or I would love to make this into a film? What is the quality of a literary work that attracts you and makes you think, I'd love to adapt this?
Well, first I have to say, Counterfeiters was based on a book, but this is not a novel or a literally work. It's a Holocaust survivor who just wrote down what happened because it shall not be forgotten, and he did not have any ambition to make something interesting in terms of literature. It's just, writing down the facts. That was the thing for him. Now, in case of Hermann Hesse, he's a Nobel Prize laureate, and he's one of the German classics in a way. And this book in particular was one of his most, next to Steppenwolf, one of his most popular ones. So this was quite a different challenge. In case of Narcissus and Goldmund, this used to be a book which was mandatory in high school. Everybody had to read it back in the day. And I loved it when I was a teenager because it deals with first love, friendship, choosing your path in life, all these issues that you are dealing with in that age. So I really loved it. And when this book sort of came back to me as a proposal to make a movie out of it, of course I couldn't resist and wanted to do it. Yeah, so that's the story. But it was not like that I read it and said, oh well, this is great, let's make a movie out of it. It's been around. It's, as it was so popular, it's been around for decades, and many of my colleagues tried to turn it into a movie, and for several reasons it never worked, and now it did work. So it was, yeah, this is how it came together.
How about you, Sabine and Niels? How did you come to choose this title that you want to adapt into a film?
I don't think we chose anything. I think the title chose us. It was we saw the book. Yeah, we saw the book, and this is by accident the only sentence Niels knows in Bosnian, which is Dođi ovamo da ću poljubim, for all the Bosnian viewers right now in South Africa. I don't know, but we read the book and we were very much touched by it. We laughed about it. We had to cry, and it reminded us so much of the way we were brought up, the way we were brought up, the way our friends were brought up. It was so the way it was written was very much like how do you call this? A trip down memory lane. And we never had any ambition to make a fiction film. But we said, after reading this book, we said, like, well, if we would ever make a fiction film or ever make a book adaptation, then this would be really something for us. So, and then we forgot about it. And then Griet, she saw our documentary, the one that we made, and she wrote a review about it. And then there were some mistakes, and long story short, we got tagged on Facebook. We tagged her, and we said, like, no problem for mixing up names, but how about the rights of your book? And can we have a coffee? And we just thought, like, it was kind of like, who knows, just a very brutal question. And then we met, and I think it just clicked. So it was more the book. It was more faith in a way, or how do you call it? Yeah, it just happened.
And Griet, you've done a lot of this, being approached for rights to your book. Does it usually happen on a personal basis like this, or do you also have some deals that are coordinated by agents and that kind of thing? What's your approach to giving?
I've chosen to make this very personal because I think it is a matter of faith. I mean, of course, when you're the writer of the book, you can always say the book was better if the movie sucks, but you prefer it not to suck. So in that sense, I think it's really important to not just sell out the rights and whoever will want to do something with it, that's fine. I really want to give it to people I have faith in and that are an inspiration to me, as well as the other way around. And maybe with the first movie, I was so excited that someone wanted to make a movie that I just immediately said yes. It was also a very nice man, the director. In retrospect, maybe I should have been a little bit more cautious in the beginning. So with the second one, I was more cautious, and I had a few questions, but I thought, I'm not sure. And then Niels and Sabine popped up, and I was immediately convinced whatever they will make, I will have to take a stand towards it. It will be something. It will be something that's made by people with strong vision and big personalities. So I was really curious, and that was enough to say a full yes from the heart and the mind at the same time.
But all in all, we can agree that just finding out where you drink your coffee is a good way to start working towards the rights for your books, eh?
We can
and be bold.
That books come to directors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I found it interesting that you say that some people make the comments or try to establish which is better, the book or the film, and the two are never the same. And there's a kind of process that goes into kind of selecting certain storylines to make the film or focusing. And I noticed this in this adaptation for sure. Characters that went more further into the background in the film adaptation in order to focus on like the core controlling idea. But I'm just curious, is there a kind of a process of collaboration in the case of Griet, Sabine, and Niels, who are all living and breathing artists? And in the case of Stefan, like how do you make those decisions? Because these are new creative decisions that are being made in the course of the adaptation. And how faithful do you feel you need to be to the original writing?
I think I love the book, still love it, and this is quite a good way to start the process. If you have respect and love for it, but at the same time, you have to know it's transforming literature to film, and some big changes have to be done. And I tried to stay true to the spirit of the book, but I was well aware that sometimes you have to make changes in order to stay true to the original spirit and true to what the author Hermann Hesse actually wanted to achieve. You know, and if you try to just do everything the way he did it, you would not be able to do that. In case of Narcissus and Goldmund, this book is 90 years old, which also means you have to make the transition from another period to our period. And nowadays, people understand things in a different way as opposed to the 1920s and 30s, you know, and so you have to make changes to achieve the effect that the author wanted to have. Like there's one scene with where our protagonist Goldmund, he meets a Jewish woman, and her family has been murdered. There's the plague, and as it happened in the Middle Ages. And of course, nowadays, if you have a situation like that, people will think of the Holocaust in one way or another. You know, a Jewish woman who talks about her family having been murdered. So I have to be aware that today's audience will have that in the back of their heads. You know, and the book was written in the 20s before the Holocaust. So things have changed, and just in order to be true to the original, you have to make changes. That's the bottom line for me.
I mean, when you, just to stay with that for now, Stefan, when you were making this adaptation, what other choices, like very deliberate choices where you were like, these themes, love, hate, men, women, life, death, etc., etc. What were the themes that you made a deliberate choice to update for these times?
I mean, it's. I think you have to be aware that making a movie is an interpretation. You can't do it like one-to-one. Just take the book and put it on the screen. It's an interpretation. I put those themes and motifs and characters into the movie that I thought were the most important, the most interesting ones. And I'm very well aware that another director, another screenwriter would have made different choices. For me, sort of that idea of friendship was maybe one of the most important themes. You know, that idea that you have that you find a friend, and even if you're having completely different lives, even if you don't see one another for years, for decades, when you come together, there's still something there, which I think most of us have experienced that, and this is, for me, the core of the book. But again, I'm well aware that somebody else would have made other choices.
And Sabine and Niels, just, I mean, I think it's a more complicated conversation about collaboration between you two, because there's your co-director collaboration, creative choices you're making together about the adaptation, but also the relationship that you're having with a living, breathing writer who's probably just around the corner having coffee as you write the screenplay.
Well, tell us
how that went for you guys.
Let us start with the fact that our collaboration with Griet was a lot easier than our collaboration between us. No, I think also our collaboration was really nice. I mean, we're making films together since 2011, so we kind of have the same vision. We read the same books, we see the same films, we have a family together. So in that sense, we know how to collaborate. And with Griet, it was really nice because I think from the start, she said, okay, we had a really nice conversation. We agree about the soul of the book. Please take it, rip it apart, paste it back together, do whatever you want. And I trust you. And I'm very looking forward to see the film.
And give me a call if you
she said, like, give me a call if you
Mm-hmm.
need extra dialogue or something. But if you call me in 4 years and you tell me to come in a nice dress to the premiere, I'm also fine. So it was really nice that in the collaboration, of course, because we loved the book and we love Griet, it's like we kind of reached out to her a few times just to check, like, can you read the treatment? Can you read part of the script? And can you please make like 3 or 4 important notes and tell us if we're still on the right track? Or sometimes we had a question about a certain character, but it was never Griet that was asking, okay, how is it with the script? Where are you? Is it going well? So that was really nice for us, because
and even with casting, I think we had dinner and then we said like which actors we had casted, and she knows all these Belgian actors much better than us. She was, I'm sure she had some particular thoughts on some of them, but she was very elegant about it. She said, I mean, it was not that she was, no, she just said, okay, interesting choice. But then she said, well, we'll see. We'll just see what happens. So it always felt like we had someone that had our backs in a way, and that, but we did not have to.
In the end, if we watch back on the process, she was maybe our best supporter.
Or I mean, like, also we never had any troubles thinking like, oh, there's going to be people thinking like, what is better, the book or the film or something. It was maybe because also due to this collaboration, we never even thought, we really, I mean, it's probably super naive, but we really never thought about it until now, that some people ask this question, oh, weren't you like super afraid because this book it's such a bestseller, like weren't you afraid that people would compare it? And we just said like, well, we simply never thought about it.
The only
like
thought
all
we
these
had about
all
it
these people
was
are going to want to watch the movie.
The fact that it was a bestseller was the only thought, like, okay, we're gonna make a film from a bestseller, so we can do whatever we want because people will probably go to the cinema, so we can make our own film.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks to all the people joining us who have sent questions. I just want to encourage you to please use the Q&A function. It's at the bottom of the Zoom function, and also to use the chat function. So Brenda's got a question, which is a very technical question that I'd invite the screenwriters or anyone actually in the panel to address. Books are written from a narrative point of view, for example, first person, third person, etc. How do you translate this aspect into film? So in the interiority, the voice of a book.
Yes, I think in with Mona interacts, or kom hier dat kus of zoen, of how the translation is. With Griet's book, it's the internal voice of Mona is extremely important. But we really felt this is what makes the book beautiful. This is the book, and to make it a film, it's something we cannot use because these are words, and we wanted to see it. So we also maybe also to challenge ourselves, we said like, okay, we're not gonna use this, and then let's see what we'll see. So that's how we started working on it.
And the interesting thing about the inner voice of Mona, I think, is that maybe that's in the end the thing we love the most, because there is Griet, that it's the way also how Griet looks at characters, and it was something that really kind of attracted us, because it's maybe also the way we look at characters when we shoot a documentary in an image, and she does it with words. So for us it was okay, let's try to from that inner voice create those characters and bring them to the screen. That's basically, I think, the thing we did.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely noticed how in the film there were so many instances where it was a scene with a lot of things happening, and it's just her the entire time. Like, people are having meltdowns left, right, and center. People are dying, but it was just always staying with her, and that was really beautiful. Griet, would you be comfortable to make a comment on whether you could recognize some parts of the interiority of Mona in this adaptation, where they took on a new character that you found more interesting as well?
I think they made my character more interesting. That's the most honest answer, I think. No, they really, really caught the atmosphere, and a person who is always afraid that who she is, you know, when she's quiet or when she's sleeping, will not be enough, and tries to move the world to make everyone else happy, because that's where her value lies, she believes. And then to look at a film where you're constantly with her, so incredibly close to her, to that character. They did such a beautiful job in creating that feeling, and that makes you like someone who is in her mind. And that's also what I try to do in the book in a very, very different way. But I think film is such a powerful, powerful medium that it creates an instant emotional reaction when you're watching it. I think people who make no connection at all to the movie are people that are touched in their biggest fears, actually. So that's interesting in itself. Yeah, no, they did a beautiful job.
Super. I want to pick up a question from Monica, which is my question, Tiny, is please let me know how they are so passionate about this business as it takes years to create a film. And I think, you know, it's a film festival. There's a lot of people who are aspiring filmmakers, aspiring writers, people who want to live a more like artistic kind of journey for their lives, and maybe who have fears about like longevity and so on. Stefan, as the one with the longest, would you maybe start by telling us how do you remain passionate about being in the business? How do you remain committed and steadfast in your creative journey?
I would do it the other way around. If I would be losing the passion, I would stop making movies, because I think you have to have passion, because it's really exhausting, and you're investing a lot of time, energy, heart, blood into each and every movie. And I've seen some people who were in the business quitting it again because they found out they didn't have enough passion. It's not you know, like money or social prestige is not enough motivation to make movies. You really have to be passionate about the job, and in spite of all the stress and you know, I love being on set. This is where the place I love to be at the most, which is, you know, standing next to the camera, staging, working with actors, you know, all the passion, the adrenaline that goes with it. And I think if you don't have that, either you have it or you don't have it. And if you don't have it, I think you're not gonna make it.
And maybe also a topic that you really like. I think, like, for us, we always, I think it takes forever to make something. I think like this, it was 5 years ago. It's also something that it has to be something that inspires you enough to think about for 5 years.
The question is always, are we so much in love with a character or a story that we can think about it? Yeah, indeed.
And will we still be curious after so many years? Because if you already understand the subject instantly, then probably after a couple of months or a year, you're kind of fed up with it. But if you feel like I'm not really, I need to know more about it. I think for us, this is the case. Then it feels like I need to explore it more. I need to know more. It inspires for a long time.
And probably it also, for us, I think it has to relate to our own lives in a way. Like it has to become personal. It has to
but you have to
disturb you a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, like maybe in advance, or you don't, maybe it's not like consciously, but you know, like if you really dig into this into this theme, you'll when you're finished, it has changed us a bit, I think. But fundamental, maybe a bit, but fundamentally, yeah.
And you, Griet, how do you remain passionate being in the literary business for so long?
Well, it hasn't been that long yet because I had a late calling, so to say. But it's yeah. No, I had this funny moment when I started writing. I was so incredibly surprised that I actually pulled it off, and I was actually getting an audience, that the audience was getting bigger and bigger. And now I actually have people sending me emails asking me, when will your next book come? I'm waiting for it. It's unimaginable. Someone is waiting for something that you haven't even done yet. That's amazing to me. So I was in this childlike dream come true moment that just kept on going. And then with the coronavirus and all this shit and being all alone, I thought, man, this is a hard job. Being a writer is a very lonely profession. So when all of a sudden nothing else is possible anymore, and it's only that writing, that was very, very confronting for me to experience that. And all of a sudden I started thinking, oh my God, I have to do this for 20 or 30 more years. How am I going to do that? But that was like a temporary drop in my mental state, I think, because, you know, the truth is that I'm much more happier when I can write than when I'm not doing it. And I think that's like, I know a lot of people who say, oh, I would love to write a book and I think I have this beautiful story, and yet they don't do it. There has to be something deep inside you that has the force and the power and the will to every day sit and open your laptop and just write something. And maybe it's shit and you have to throw it away, but you've done it anyway. And that makes the day better than when you wouldn't have opened your laptop. And as long as you have that feeling, I think that's a very strong drive to continue. And I agree with Sabine and Niels that it's really important to there has to be something on the line for you. It has to be dangerous, a dangerous undertaking. You have to go to depths in your own soul or dark spots in your own mind that you're afraid of going. And when there's a little bit of resistance when you're writing, that's a very good sign, I think, or when you're making a film or whatever it may be. And that drives you. And I think as well that the day that will go away, that there will be nothing to be scared of anymore, or nothing to try and understand, that I also might become a shrink or something. Just saying something.
I remember when we first met, Griet also said something about when she started writing that she lost her shame about it. That she I'm gonna stop to be ashamed. I'm just gonna do what I like. Fuck the world and whatever people are thinking, this is what I like, you know. And to get to that point takes a lot of courage and a lot of but I think this is maybe also some. I remember that she told us the first time we met, and I took it with me. And I think it's also something we learned while we were making our this film together.
Like, are you still ashamed?
Well, I have to work. I have to work sometimes to understand that I'm ashamed of things, that I have to go to the core, to the essence, what I think about it. It's not that, oh, I'll just put away the shame and then I'm there, you know. I think you have to work. You have to continue working on this. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Something that I also connected with that Griet was talking about is what she's been thinking through, processing in this time of COVID-19, being stuck at home. I'm really interested in the rest of you. Like, what has this period been like for you? And what has this period of isolation and really thinking about, thinking about your creativity. How do you see your post-COVID creative life unfolding?
Wow. This is yours. This is yours.
Stefan?
I definitely think it's a blessing in a way, because when you're writing, you're communicating in a way with your characters, with the characters that you created. And it's sort of an interesting communication. It may sound odd, you know, but these people, they are interesting. When you're writing in the process, you learn something about them because things just happen as you write, you know. And it's definitely helpful if you're limited in terms of communicating with real people, if you have your imaginary friends in your computer.
Sabine?
For us it was we were very busy. We have two little kids, and we were finishing this movie, so so a break was extremely welcome, and we started a new project while we were writing on it. So the timing was very good for us, I think.
That is very interesting, actually, because we're writing a drama series about monks. So basically, they live in isolation forever.
Yeah.
So we are now experiencing their state of mind while writing a story about 12 monks. So that's kind of interesting. And it's the worst ever year to release a film internationally. It's like, it was kind of a thing that we had to bijstellen. We had to adjust our expectations a lot this year. And be happy with the things that work and that.
Normally, I mean, this is our first fiction film that we made. But normally, you go to some festivals like South Africa, and then it's really nice not only to talk to people by Zoom, but also really to meet people, because in general, it's not on the official talks that you connect, or that you can, maybe you meet people that you want to work with once, or people that tell you a story that is very inspirational.
Meet people from a different film culture. Sit in a bar with Stefan probably for a night would be nice.
Yeah, so it's all these kind of things like you miss out on. So it feels like, although I think making film, it has different phases, and some of them are very social, some of them are not. But now it just feels like, I think you feel the need to, when you premiere a film, you need to say goodbye to it also, because you release it in the world, and then it's not longer our little baby. We give it to the audience. Like, our interpretation doesn't really matter anymore. It's like whoever is watching it, this person, I hope it becomes their thing, you know, that their own things that they connect to. So it more feels like we need to say goodbye to something that you made, and this is also the release of a film is very much this thing. And so this is we do get a chance to say goodbye, but it's less blah, you know. It's
experiential. It's less of an experience. So you're making me so sad. Thinking about all that festival life that we're missing. But it's been really nice to meet you, all four of you. And as I said before we began the webinar, it's been really great to engage with your work. It's such an honor to talk to you about your work. So thank you for sharing it, and thank you for sharing it with the European Film Festival. I just want to invite you to kind of give us your final remarks before we close it up.
No one from the Q&A who still have a question? No.
No, we have answered all. Oh, wait. Well done, it says. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's book launch of Griet, hier, dat ek jou soen. So tomorrow at the European Film Festival, we'll be having a book launch of Griet's book, hier, dat ek jou soen. So everyone go on the European Film Festival's website to have a look at that. As soon as I threaten to close it, there are more questions. Monica would like to know if the two directors have any questions for each other. And I think because Sabine and Niels live together, have a family together, as they've explained, I think she means Sabine and Niels, do you have a question for Stefan?
Oh, yeah.
And Stefan, do you have a question for Sabine and Niels?
I'm actually kind of curious because Stefan also started the conversation by telling that the book came to him in a way. So I'm kind of curious to hear how.
It's funny. I mean, it was with Counterfeiters. It was really strange because there was a producer who introduced me to that true story, and I was like, don't know. And then, like 3 weeks later, another producer from another country introduced me to the same story, and so I thought, you know, this is this story. And it's not me to say yes or no. It's it has to be. And so I introduced these two producers, and so they formed a co-production. In case now, it was like in case of Narcissus and Goldmund, it was very, yeah, I was just asked by producers who had acquired the rights of the book, and so it was not that romantic, but again, it, you know, I knew the book from my teenage years, and so it was like an old love coming back to you. And
so what was your challenge in making this adaptation?
I mean, what you discussed before, it was as it's a very popular book and many people read it, and so everybody has his or her image, you know, how the protagonists look like, and the book is very emotional, so everybody, you know, you have your images, and then you see the actor and you go like, oh no, I thought he was blonde, or he was tall, or he was fat, or whatever. And you have to be aware that you disappoint people, you know, because they had a different image. And so all you can hope for is that they will kind of accept the bigger picture, the whole thing, and say, yes, this and that, I thought, I felt different, but it makes sense for me as it is now. So.
And in this case, you mean generations of readers who could have
yes. I mean, it's like generations. it's rather my generation, you know, which younger generations, they don't have to read it in school. I think the whole reading thing, the whole book thing, is not as important as it used to be. So younger generations are not that familiar with the book, and so it's a very philosophical book. And I met a couple of people, rather older people, who regularly, there's one guy, a friend of mine told me her father is rereading this book every year, because it's sort of like a compass in his life. And of course, you know, so this man definitely has a lot of thoughts about the book, and now he sees the movie, you know. And
What did he say?
I gotta ask that friend of mine again, but in general, people who loved the book also love the movie, but there are also people who don't like the book, who think it's corny, you know, because it's very emotional, and it's and they don't like the movie either. But that's fine for me, you know. It's you can't please everybody.
There's someone signed on as U023666517 on the talk, and they say they read Narcissus and Goldmund 40 years ago.
Okay.
And they found the film absolutely fantastic. They loved it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Clear.
I got a question in return. Sort of really hard for me to imagine. Is to have a second director by your side, because I'm such an egomaniac, and directing is such an ego thing. And B, even worse, to have that second person not saying goodbye at the rap, to have that person in your bed. How do you manage that?
We have 2 bedrooms.
No, we have therapy. We have therapy.
We worked on a first film together for 4 years, and we fought for 4 years.
Basically, we sabotaged each other.
We sabotaged each other. We fought our egos, and it was very romantic, but also a very terrible time of our lives. And then after that 4 years, I think we finally realized each other's qualities.
I think it was very specific. We went to film one day, and we both decided for ourselves without discussing it. Like, I thought, I'm gonna leave my ego at home today, and Niels, by coincidence, thought the same thing that day. So we try to do this every day, and sometimes it works.
And we have, like Sabine said, we have a very good relationship therapist to help us when it when it doesn't work out. But I think in this, like in the making of this film, I think the biggest fight we had was like a huge fight for 4 days on set. So we didn't speak with each other. I'm shooting, she's directing the actors. We had a major fight, but still the set works because I think throughout the years, we also learned that if we have a fight, that we can be in a way so professional that the crew doesn't suffer for it.
That's what we think. That's what we think. We don't know. No, but it's.
But I'd say 4 days in 4 years. It's kind of
and also doable. And I think also this film, it is about family relationships, and in this time we also created a family of our own. So even when we were when we were writing the script, and then filming it and editing it, it was like there's a lot of sentences from the book then in the script and then in the film that enter our lives as well. And it's very often that we accuse each other of being a character from the film.
There's an 8-minute long fight between the main character and her boyfriend, which sometimes we shout at dialogues at home.
But I think that's also why we were able to make this film and this adaptation, to take it to make it our own, because we did this without any shame. Like, we are these people as well. I mean, it's like, as much as we sometimes want to be more than ourselves, this is us as well. And this is where we go.
I have a question coming here for there's a couple of questions that have just been firing in now. The first is for Griet. They say that you've been exceptionally prolific, true, producing 5 books in 7 years. This is an anonymous question. They'd like to know if you can tell them what you're busy with now.
Actually, no, but it's just, we're among us. So I'm writing a children's book. That's a completely new thing. I'm actually working on a trilogy, so 3 novels about a very heavy subject, let's say. And it was getting too close, way too personal, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't write the 3rd book. And I've always thought like it's something I wanted to do, to try and write for children, but not like about fairies and knights, but actually about the here and now, and the responsibilities children can get that they're not old enough for and not mature enough for, but take on anyway. And I wanted to see whether I could make that work on the level of 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And that's what I'm doing right now. But it's actually still a big secret. No one knows except for you guys now.
Wow. And are the film rights still available?
I think we have to meet for coffee again.
A question for both the 2 director teams. So Stefan, as well as Sabine and Niels, saying, are there any scenes in your films that are especially close to your hearts after the final cut, I'm assuming?
Yes, of course, there always are. I mean, in case of Narcissus and Goldmund, which is very emotional. There are scenes which still make me, which made me cry in the beginning after having seen them, 200 or I don't know how many hundred times in the editing room. You're kind of sort of losing a bit this initial emotion, which is a sad thing, but still, yes, they are touching, and of course it's always as a director, it's not just the scene, but you also remember the surroundings, that you had a good time, that you had I don't know, that it was nice to work with this particular actor, and that you had fun that day, and these things. It's a movie is for those who were involved in it, also always a little bit like a vacation movie. You think, oh yeah, I can remember that it was raining so hard and we were all wet, and that kind of things. It's you're always getting sentimental a bit.
That's so touching. Yeah, I really enjoyed that answer. Sabine, Niels, what are you guys working on at the moment? But also, is there a particular scene that either of you feels particularly close to and attached to from the film that we've seen? So after Picture Lock. Your favorite.
Well, for me, there's a scene when in the first chapter when little Mona is entering the bedroom where the stepmother is lying pregnant and crying. It was in two ways very special, because it was the first time in the shooting period that I thought, okay, this is it. This is how we do it. Like the lighting was perfect, the actress was beautiful. The moment was there. We just had to capture it in one take. So professionally, it was like it's the summum of what we wanted to do on the set. And personally, that it was kind of something that I know from the past, so from my own family. So it was really strange, but also beautiful to see it represented on a film set, and then to relive it in a way, but with more distance.
Sabine, is it the same scene for you?
No. Although this scene I also particularly love, but I think the scene was just all the way right. It was from the beginning, but I think Niels already explained. I think for me, I like this fight between Mona and Louis. I think in the book it was also a very long fight, and I loved it already. And I remember in a scenario, it started out with being like 12 pages or something, and everybody said, no, you have to cut it down. It's never going to be that long. And I said, no, it's going to be it's not going to be 2 minutes. It's you can never capture a fight like this. It is forever. And I know this dynamic of fighting very well, and I think, and it's horrible, but it's even harder to get out of. And I think it's also the way she is stuck is very much represented in this fight, although she is an adult person. So I think the dynamics between these two characters, I think it really is what a fight is. I think it's so real. Or to me, it is very real and very it's just real and hard and not very pretty. But yeah, well, that's something that I laugh. I have to laugh when I see it, but it's very painful. But I think for me it soothes me a little bit that there are more people like this in the world.
So what are you guys working on at the moment?
A series. Yeah, we just started a series about monks. Monks. We want. I think it's maybe also the need to look for different ways of how to rule the world or rule a society that has deeper meaning. So I think we are going to try to look for yeah, what if, yeah, well, something like this. I don't know. It's still, yeah.
And you, Stefan, what are you working on presently?
I'm actually in post-production of a movie, and most of the post-production take place in Belgium, by the way. It's a movie, I never did that before, where we shot the whole movie in a blue screen studio. And now we're creating the backgrounds, and it's a story set right after the First World War. And what I'm trying to do is create sort of an expressionistic world. There's a famous movie called The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1919. And for that movie, they created sort of expressionist decorations, you know, that were all kind of distorted. And so we're doing that digitally. So the whole world, our protagonists are in, is distorted and sort of out of balance, just the way people felt the world was in the early 20s, you know, after the First World War, when all these new political movements, art movements came up, because people felt, you know, nothing is the way it used to be before the First World War. So, yeah, that's an experiment, and let's see, you know, due to COVID, when it's going to come out and when it will be possible to show it to the world.
Sounds super exciting. All of you are working on really interesting work. So maybe the COVID has had a very good impact on all of your creativity. So it's been really nice to meet all of you. And I just want to take this time to encourage our guests on this webinar to be sure to check out your films on European Film Festival website, which is eurofilmfest.co.za. These films, there's 12 films in the festival which are available until the 22nd of November. Basically, the European Film Festival is a partnership project of the European Union delegation to South Africa and 12 European embassies and cultural agencies. So please visit the website. I've just said it earlier, eurofilmfest.co.za, for details about these 2 films, as well as the other 10, as well as special activities like this that are taking place at the festival. There's going to be a book launch of Griet's book tomorrow. I just want to get the details for you. You can find them on the website. That might be easier if you go on the website and just have a look at the time for the book launch tomorrow. And yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks.